with respect to NITI Aayog meeting.
What others said, but overall impression was that states were quite cooperative, and they are already working in this direction, both for diversification and also for achieving this self-sufficiency. And both may not be synonyms, but everybody expressed that they are working in this direction. Just a second. Pardon?
Sir, any intervention required from the central government in this regard?
One of the rather two states they just mentioned about making MSP for pulses and oilseeds effective, and I have also noted that Rajasthan Chief Minister also expressed that if Rajasthan get better irrigation in 13 districts, they can spread area under mustard in a very big way, and that will also help in achieving self-sufficiency. The states also talked about, particularly Northeast, how they were expanding area under oil palm cultivation. Like Arunachal Pradesh, they have a target of 40,000. So this year they are bringing 4,000 hectare under this. Similarly, Tripura and like that. So mainly the demand which came was that MSP in case of pulses and edible oil need to be made more effective.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have a couple of questions. Number one, because what we see from the agenda that it was proposed that there's pulses you want to increase up to certain number like 510 lakh ton, something like that, and also for edible oil there's about 40% increase that that is the target. So that's also much less than what we actually require. That's number one. And number 2 point, sir, you talked about diversification of crops, but the same year, this year, because of wheat and rice problem, our secretary, our ministers, they are asking states to grow more wheat and rice. That's quite, contrast to what the government policy is. So a clarity on that. And the last question, sir, you talked about cooperative federalism. I think Naveen Patnaik had raised this question. If there is a problem between center and states, NITI Aayog should be the ombudsman. Can you just, give a comment on that?
As far as pulses are concerned, if you look at data for last 5-6 years, we have made substantive progress in increasing production output of pulses. And in fact, we are exporting little bit pulses also, and we are importing some pulses. In the case of pulses, we are now deficit only in Masur and to some extent in Arhar. In the other kind of pulses, we are very close to self-sufficiency, and it has happened because last 5 years, there is a big increase in production of especially chickpea, chana. So in case of pulses, our import dependence is now less than 7-8%. But in case of edible oil, the import dependence is still almost 50%. So that's why independent mission on palm oil, other oil seeds, the situation in case of oil seeds is quite serious as far as dependence on import is concerned. I'm coming to that. You just asked that if that is the case, then why government, some official made statement about increasing area under beet and rice. In the case of beet, we had surplus of 10%. If some shock happened, beet and rice are also staple crop. If there's a very serious shock, which was the terminal heat during the month of April this time, because of which there was a decline in beet production of 6 million ton, and Government of India gave double the quantity of what was the normal kind of PDS requirement. We started Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, under which PDS was almost doubled. So that resulted in giving almost more than 60 million ton of wheat and rice in PDS.
Dr. Chand, I would say that this was, somewhat extraneous to what happened at the meeting. So maybe they could take it offline. Okay. Yeah. But your second question was on the role of NITI. You use the term ombudsman. That's not the term that I think is appropriate. I think, though, we have certainly tried to be something different, an intermediary and an honest broker. Both CEO and I are new. Let me ask Dr. Paul, in a sense, of how up till now NITI has attempted to be helpful. You mentioned the case of Odisha. I think you've had some experience of that.
Well, very briefly, the mandate of NITI includes cooperative federalism as well as competitive federalism, among other few mandates that are enshrined in the order that constituted the NITI Aayog. In terms of cooperative federalism, NITI has been involved in a constant and systematic engagement with the state governments. We visualize this, the state governments visualize NITI as a friend of their...
That's the press conference as far as Governing Council of NITI Aayog is concerned. NITI Aayog chairperson, vice chairperson speaking about the meeting that they say was a fruitful discussion and it was mostly on MSPs, and also going on to say there's a big increase as far as production, as far as pulses are concerned. So a fruitful discussion is what members of NITI Aayog are saying. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi had in fact chaired the 7th meeting of Governing Council of NITI Aayog with several chief ministers and top officials in attendance.